And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this from. And welcome to another rendition of Ring Rats and Riot Acts, your DeFi Wrestling review show here at the BC WrestlePod Network. Of course, I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and usually I am joined with my DeFi Wrestling co host, Andrew. But Andrew is currently taking a bit of a hiatus for the fall from wrestling related content, but he will be back in the winter. But I promised that I would keep Defy going because there's not that many shows left this year, and I'm here to review last night's Defy Aeon. So please forgive my nonchalant demeanor. I've crammed in SmackDown. We did a live watch along last night for CMLL's 92nd Aniversario, and I got up early enough this morning to make sure I watched Aeon and I'm properly prepared for the review. So, this review is going to be on the bit of the shorter side. I'm calling it the 15 under 15, so to speak. I'm probably not going to go more than 15 minutes talking about the show, but I highly encourage you to go watch it because there were some great moments, had fun matches, and you know what? We got to support that independent wrestling. But before I get into the review, really quickly, if you are new to BC WrestlePod, welcome and hi. We are a team of 14 people at this point. We're just collecting everybody like Infinity Stones at this point. And we are here. We love professional wrestling and we pretty much cover a lot of things. That includes the US feds like WWE, AEW, TNA. We also cover some US based independents such as DeFy Wrestling and GCW. But we also cover international brands like CMLL, Progress Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stardom. We just picked up Rev Pro UK. It is a whole plethora. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. It is so much fun. We do a lot of things here, and we love that you are here. We do full length reviews. We have edited versions of our reviews, but we also encourage you to interact with us on the social medias where we have our report cards of all the shows, previewing what's going on, and a bunch of other fun things. We also have some merch available, which we believe here at BC WrestlePod is tied into charity. So link in the description of this video below. But without further ado, let's just jump into it. So Aeon is the next Defy Wrestling show that that succeeds is the correct term. The last time we covered Defy Wrestling was all the way back in July when we did Defy Vortex. And so we were wondering when we were going to get our next show, and lo and behold, we got the announcement of this Aeon. We have 2 more Aeon shows, as well as a GCW show in December. So very interested to see where we go with the new direction of Defy Wrestling. And I had such a blast with this one. So let's just jump straight into it. We kick things off with our Defy World Champion, Clark Connors, holding an open challenge for the Defy World Championship. Now, of course, if you do not know who Clark Connors is currently in New Japan, and he is part of the Bullet Club War Dogs faction, who also happens to be our Defy World Champion. He won this in a contest, a tournament that was held for the vacant title as Ricky Starks, who was the champion after Defy 100 earlier this year in February, vacated the title due to him being signed with NXT and WWE. And Clark has held this title since then, and now he's holding an open challenge for it. And so I was wondering who was going to open, the door, so to speak, and challenge Clark Connors for the title. And lo and behold, we didn't have to wait long to find out because it was answered by the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. And let me tell you, I've had my issues with how AEW has been utilizing Brian Keith, but hot damn, the bounty hunter is back on the independent scene like this. And him and Clark Connors had a banger of a match. This was a really good back and forth. And to my surprise, the bounty hunter Brian Keith does pick up the victory here against Clark Connors. I think this match was the perfect way to open up the show. It had the right amount of, intrigue. It had the right amount of energy. Brian Keith's return to Defy Wrestling. The crowd was into it. I was personally into it, and I'm really happy to see him as champion because I'm interested to see where he goes next in Defy with this championship. And I was so happy. Hopefully, this fixes the issue that I did have that me and Andrew talked about at Defy Vortex. Clark Connors is such a good wrestler, but we really haven't seen him defend the title too much. And hopefully, at these next couple of shows, the Bounty Hunter is able to defend this title more often than what we saw before. But this was great. I had a good time with this match. And shout out to the Bounty Hunter, Brian Keith. So happy to see him become Defy World Champion and very excited to see where his title reign goes. Next up, we have a Fatal 4-Way match, which was also a lot of fun. Again, this saw a lot of folks who we know and love return to us here as Defy Wrestling folks. And in this 4-way match, we have Evan Rivers, El Phantasmal, otherwise known as ELP, Miles DeVille, and Ethan HD. And I thought this was a really, really fun match. Again, I think Defy does very well when they do a showcase type of a match where we showcase talent coming in and out of the ring. And I thought this was a really fun, fast-paced bout that kept the crowd on their feet. But it's to be expected when you have these four who, I don't want to call them cruiserweights, but they defy all laws of physics and gravity, and this was a fun one. Of course, my standout for this match has to be Evan Rivers. Again, Defy has introduced me to him, and every single time he's been on my computer screen, every time I've watched Defy is so much fun. I'm biased, but of course, because I'm a huge fan of ELP. Again, I watch New Japan and cover New Japan here at BC Wrestle Pod. Well, I mean, I watch and cover everything, but that's besides the point. ELP is such a phenomenal wrestler, and he works well with other people. Hence, his match with Takeshita at New Japan Resurgence earlier in the year back in May was so good. I was having a good time with this. And shout out to Ethan HD and Miles DeVille too. Again, these are newer folks to me, but they were fantastic as well. Ultimately, it would be Evan Rivers who does pick up the victory in this 4-way showcase. Fantastic match. And I'm excited to see where Evan goes, ELP. And you know what? I'm excited for the next Defy Wrestling show coming in November. Then we move on because we get more championship action. This is for the Defy Women's Championship. Of course, our champion, Marina Shafir, taking on challenger in Hyan. So Hyan is, I don't want to say new to me because I've seen her a couple on occasions, both in GCW, Ring of Honor, all sorts of good stuff. And she is very solid in her work. But I love Hyan, but I love me some Marina Shafir. I've said this on multiple occasions when we reviewed Defy that I wish AEW would allow her to do more than just be a part of the Death Riders. I mean, when she was wrestling in Ring of Honor for a little bit, like, it's fun to see her. And she does more in Ring of Honor than she does in AEW, which is kind of sad to say because Marina Shafir is a freaking fantastic wrestler. And there's a reason why she's Defy Women's Champion. This was such a solid match through and through between these two. Marina Shafir would retain the Defy Women's Championship. And then she cut a bit of a promo, which I'm very intrigued to see where we go for the remainder of the year for Defy Wrestling. Because Marina Shafir gets on the mic. She talks about how she needs a challenge and she welcomes anyone and everyone to come and try to take this title off of her. And I'm just like, Marina Shafir, you are the baddie. You are amazing. And I am so excited. I'm really hoping that Marina gets to fight some really cool opponents come the next two Defy shows that we have scheduled for the remainder of 2025. But even then, Marina is fantastic. Her and Hyan threw down. Marina retains, but shout out to Hyan, man. Like, I need to see her more often because she's so good. And Marina Shafir is probably one of my favorite women's wrestlers in terms of like just strict technical wrestling of that aspect of things. This was so phenomenal. I had a great time with this match. Oof, this was fun. We move on from this match though, because then we get into a really good tag team match. And I don't think it's said enough, but I think that the DEFY Wrestling tag team division that we get, or the tag team matches we have, are always some of my favorite matches on the planet. Of course, in this one, we have the tag team Midnight Heat taking on the team of Matt Brannigan, and of course, my favorite, the weirdo, Mr. Randy Myers, who is a little bit more serious here. And I love the duality between this and his Beetlejuice-esque inspired character that we get to see him from time to time be. I love the lovable weirdo. He is so fantastic. But again, the DeFi tag team division is so solid, and every single tag team match has ended up being probably my favorite matches of the whole entire card. And this was no exception. I think Randy and Matt Brannigan are pretty solid as a team. Midnight Heat, though, holy hell, their chemistry as a team is fantastic. And then when you have like C4, and then on top of that, we had Los Suavecitos coming through here too, who were freaking fantastic this year as well. We also have, of course, our DeFi Tag Team Champions of Sinner and Saint. This tag team division is so damn good. It is so fantastic. And this tag team match was really, really solid. I felt that this match was a good classic tag team match with grit. And Midnight Heat do pick up the victory here, and they continue their momentum. I love Midnight Heat. They're so fantastic. But when I tell you that after the match, we had an appearance from The Righteous, so Dutch and Vincent, I lost my ever-living mind, because I and our other BC WrestlePod host, Jesse, we love The Righteous. They are so fantastic. We were wondering what the next move was going to be, since they're no longer with AEW and Ring of Honor. Rumor was that they were going to be with WWE and sign with the Fed. That might still be the case for right now, but damn, their appearance made me happy. I would love to see The Righteous stick around to Defy for a little bit, and I hope that we get to see them at the next Defy show. I really, really do. Which sets up something fun with Midnight Heat and The Righteous, as well as, you know what, Righteous versus Sinner and Saint for those titles would be amazing if we were to get that down the line. But this was a fantastic tag team bout. I had a great time with this one, and I'm excited to see where the tag team wrestling division of Defy goes. In our semi-main event, we have a women's singles match. This is Amira versus Nicole Matthews. So Amira is the rising star on the independent scene. I've seen her twice at this time, and she's really, really fun. Nicole Matthews, a vet of the industry as well. We saw Nicole last Defy Wrestling in a singles bout as well. I don't want to say that this match was the low point of the show, but it definitely was the palate cleanser, as I'll put it, because between our 4 matches that came beforehand, this was weirdly placed at this point of the card, and I felt that maybe we could have opened with this, or we could have put it between the 4-way match and the women's championship. But even then, was still very solid action. Again, Amira has a rising stock in the independent wrestling scene, and Nicole Matthews has been here forever, and it made sense that Nicole went over on Amira, the vet defeating the young upstart. I thought this was a really fun match. Nicole Matthews, the veteran savvy, was too much for the rising star of Amira. The in-ring was very solid. This was really fun. This was a good showcase of both people who aren't, well, not both people. This was a good showcase for anyone who hasn't seen Amira or Nicole Matthews, and I'm excited. I hope Nicole sticks around, and I would love to see her get another shot at Marina Shafir and that Defy Women's Championship. This was really fun. We then get to the main event of Defy AEON, and my goodness, when you say that this was a heavyweight fight, this was a heavyweight fight. So for the Defy Super Heavyweight Cup, this was Killer Cross versus Calvin Tankman. Calvin Tankman is newer to me, but I've been following him. I've seen clips of him. I've seen him in a couple matches. He is so freaking good. And then, of course, gotta support my fellow Boricua, Killer Cross. Now that he is back on the independent scene, he's been popping up everywhere, and it is so freaking good. I really love this match. This had good heavyweight action. I love the spot when the ref was telling Killer Cross and Calvin to watch their punches, and these two gave him the D3, which was hilarious to me. This was really good. But this was a really fun main event, and I'm super happy to see these two here. Killer Cross does win and is your inaugural Super Heavyweight Cup champion. I think Calvin Takeman looked really good in this match, and I'm so excited to see where he goes from here. And you know what? I'm really happy to see Killer Cross win this match and also be back on the independent scene. I think this match against Calvin does add more to Killer Cross's prestige in his resume. He cuts a promo. Killer Cross cuts a promo afterwards talking about how he's happy to be here. You know, the crowd was booing when he started to mention WWE, where he was previously. But Killer Cross sends the crowd home happy. Everybody is such a big fan of him. I'm a huge fan of Killer Cross, and I'm hoping to see more of him here in Defy, as well as the, rest of the independent wrestling scene. And that's going to be it for me here for DEFY AEON. Again, this was going to be a shorter review as it's just me, only 6 matches. But I highly encourage you, if you have not seen a DEFY Wrestling event, and I know especially for wrestling fans who are just used to the Fed of WWE and AEW, and to a certain extent TNA, to me those are the 3 major ones here in the United States. I highly recommend that you at least create a triangle, a trifecta of wrestling, as I call it, where I think if you want a good grasp of what the wrestling world has to offer, I think you find one of the major televised feds, so WWE, AEW, and TNA. I also recommend that you find an independent wrestling promotion that you want to follow in the States. Defy, GCW, Hood Slam, Hog, whatever your Wrestling Revolver, whatever your independent promotion here in the stateside. And then the third one, you need to find an international brand to watch, whether that's CMLL, New Japan, Rev Pro UK, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, Stardom, Mighty Gold, DDT Wrestling, Joshi Pro Wrestling, whatever your brand is. I'll highly recommend that you find a triangle of madness, so to speak, of a U.S. major fed, a U.S. independent, and an international brand to open up your perspectives and horizons. And DEFY Wrestling is really solid. Of course, it being from my coast of the West Coast, but more specifically in Washington, DEFY Wrestling is so much fun. There's a lot of good people there, good talent, and they are definitely worth your time. But that's going to be it for me here at Ring Rats and Riot Acts. The next DEFY Wrestling show won't be until November. So hopefully by then it will be myself and Andrew to be covering it. And to be fair, this is it for the rest of BC WrestlePod this week. We have nothing going on tomorrow, but I do want to preview what the remainder of what the next week is going to look like, because boy howdy is it going to be packed. So let's take a look really quickly at what this upcoming week holds. So again, there is nothing for the rest of today or all tomorrow, because we are taking a rest. I am taking a trip to Los Angeles today to go see my first GCW show, which I'm excited about. But here is what this upcoming week looks like. On Monday, September 22nd, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, the WWE boys will be here to review WrestlePalooza, which is happening later tonight. So we will be here to review the first PLE on ESPN, and that's been a whole debacle. So we're going to do our best to try to get you covered for it. Then on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, September 23rd, the AEW crew will be here to review AEW All Out Toronto. Wednesday, we have our double dose reviews at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. It is the go-home edition of NXT Before No Mercy, and we will be reviewing CMLL's 92nd Aniversario. So I highly recommend that y'all come in, and it's going to be great. Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, we will be reviewing Mystery Wrestling 18. So the Mystery Wrestling crew, the Grapple Gumshoes will be here to review it. Friday, we will be reviewing another episode of TNA, which is the Go Home review for the Go Home show for Victory Road. So we will be doing our predictions for that as well. And then Sunday, the 28th, 11:30 a.m. Pacific is our WWE review, and 6 p.m. Pacific is our MLW Fury Road watch along. I will be here, not sure about Adolfo, my co-host for MLW, but I will be here to watch Fury Road, which will lead us into Slaughterhouse the following weekend. So we have a packed week and it's super excited and I cannot wait. But thank you so much for tuning into my DEFY AEON review. Make sure to follow us all over the socials at BC WrestlePod. And I'm looking forward to seeing y'all for our upcoming week of wrestling goodness. But from all of us here at BC WrestlePod, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you Monday to kick off our week of crazy pay-per-view and weekly reviews. But until then, this is Sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.